the fans in the grandstands here able to enjoy what it's going to be like going through there the first time at speed. It's happening right now. Green flags in the air. Some opting to go below it, others right through it. It's Daniel Hemrick out front already, a 4-car length lead over Allmendinger.
And one thing we do know is the rest of this racetrack is very slick. This racetrack is worn out. There's no grip whatsoever. I saw a few cars slip through that grip strip. Let's see what they do this time by. Oh, car to wall.
Right there, right in front of Denny Hamlin. The 8 got in there, and Sam Mayer's the first to tag the wall hard.
See if you can keep going. We can't get down right now. Is the tire down?
There was hard contact from the end. You saw it right off the in car of Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin's out of the gas. You could hear Denny lifting, waiting for the car to do something. Here's a great shot looking down the backstretch, Jeff.
Yeah, this is a rookie. He is out of the groove. He does not know any better. He thinks there's grip here like it is every other racetrack he goes to. Way too high. Tries to get out of the gas, too late, in the wall. That's Darlington right there. That is, you cannot be that high, even with this grip. Parker.
Right, Jeff, and they were on the radio, even on the pace laps and in just those first couple laps, to take it easy, telling Sam Mayer, as you said, doesn't have the experience, doesn't know what the grip level is in that patch, to take it easy and survive through those first couple laps. But as you said, just way too high there. The grip wasn't there, got the wall.
Throughout the day, we're going to reference the Darlington stripe. That wasn't a Darlington stripe. That was a hit coming out of turn 2.
Yeah. He's still going pretty good, though. I mean, you know, he much better than I thought he'd be able to.
And look at this, closing the gap now. Justin Allgaier has gotten to the back bumper of the 18 of Daniel Hemrick.
Allgaier, the winner from the spring race here, mentioned this in Atlanta. 2 tracks that he's won at, lower grip, had him circled on his calendar. I really think that helps a driver. When your mental approach is, I can win at this track, and then you prove it to yourself, you have to come in kind of on your tiptoes a little more excited, Dave.
And there's the tiptoe area right there. After the second time through that new patched area, Justin came on the radio and said it is really, really slick over there. But you can see, Steve, you talked about it, the confidence level this driver has to attack it once he understands it. And after 4 laps, he does.
So, Jeff,
well, he understands most of it.
So, Jeff, by now, do you think that these guys know what they got through that patch for the most part, like with the grip level is concerned?
I do. I think they know right now, but I think it's going to change. I think right now it's clear to them with this many laps on tires, with this kind of fuel, this is what I've got. But I do think they're going to have to stay on their toes. This will, as it rubbers up, it will change more than it normally would, because it's brand new asphalt, has an opportunity to change more.
Uniqueness about this racetrack right now, they're running pretty much on the white dotted line or closer to the apron, but as the tires wear out a little bit more, we're going to see him running right up against the wall.
Well, one guy that always seems to find his way through turn 2 a little differently than everybody else is this bright 54 right here, red and white car. That's Denny Hamlin. His one Xfinity race each year is here, as we mentioned earlier, and he normally runs this high exit of turn 2, but the last time through he ran right around the bottom. He just ran around the bottom right here. He's methodically working his way through traffic. This is going to be a perfect example. He's going to let the 39 slide up, and he's just going to work his way underneath it. That right there is Darlington. That's how you do it. Right now, you're going to test the 39 to see if he wants to drive in here too wide, and I can't imagine Sega's going to want to.
Marty.
Hey, Rick, the one interesting thing Denny Hamlin told me before the race, he said with all the inexperience in the field, he feels like his experience really pays off. And he said what that means to him is, depending on how his car is handling, he can place his car in different spots here at Darlington. Jeff, you can't do it at every racetrack, but Denny feels like sometimes if his car is tight, he can put it in a certain spot, and it'll help the car handle better. He feels like that's his advantage here at Darlington.
Oh, I agree with him 100%. I love that Ray Hendrick paint scheme. Virginia motorsports legend, modified racer, late model sportsman racer. I love seeing that on the car. And I'm going to tell every young driver, if you want to know how to drive Darlington, you watch this guy right here. You watch Denny Hamlin. He's going to show you in 3 and 4 how to do it.
Jeff, are we seeing right now Justin setting up Daniel Hemrick for the pass?
It looks like to me Justin's car is better over in 3 and 4. He's able to stay a little bit lower, a little bit straighter on corner exit. Over here is where it seems like getting into one, it seems like Hemrick can carry more speed right there.
Well, and that was the thing that I had learned when coming from motorcycles to car racing, and people didn't, it took me forever to learn, is aero. You get behind these cars, you're like, man, you're by yourself, you're feeling good, but then you get behind a car, and the next thing you know, the nose takes off.
And this is what Justin wants to see. He wants Hemrick up the racetrack, because just what you said, it puts downforce on that 7 car because he's able to stay under him. Now, Hemrick's moved up the racetrack. Tires are old, 11 laps. He's moved up the racetrack because he doesn't have to turn the wheel as much. It's easier for his car, and that part will make the pass harder for the 7 of Allgaier.
And out the window from the 18. I think he's been dogged long enough. He says, you know what? You can have it. I'm going to work on saving my car.
Steve, he's got debris on the grill, so they told him let the 7 go by, and the temperatures had gotten to the point where they were a little too much for this team to stand. They told him let the 7 go by. That's why the hand came out the window.
Thanks, Marty. Great update. I thought he was just tired of getting pressured.
Now the problem is he's got to get behind somebody to get that debris off. Caution has come out for 21-year-old Carson Ware, the son of Rick and brother of Cody, and spun coming off of turn 4. Take another look.
Yeah, you just see this is Exeter turn 4, very low grip area of the racetrack. You see gets on the throttle, back of the car just comes around, spins to the inside. The good news for the 74, no contact for the inside wall. I thought this might actually be considered the competition yellow. NASCAR said it is not, so they will give these drivers another yellow in a little bit. But under this caution, could be timely for that 18 car, Marty. He was coming down pit road.
Yeah, and they have diagnosed what could be a bad plug wire. They did find something wrong with the engine on the 18 for Daniel Hemrick. Don't think it was related to the debris. They're going to come back down pit road this time. The field getting 1 to go, so it's going to be a little bit of a race for this 18 team to see if they can get this fixed and get them back out before the start of this restart of this race.
Well, it's like, see, so the 18's got to come in. So the best way to do this is you actually open the hood. You can check the temperature of each tube of the header. And one of them is going to be cool, right? So whichever cylinder's not firing, I'm trying to see right here, it looks like they're going to change the plug wire. Easier said than done on a car that's run 15 laps. Everything under the hood extremely hot.
They get fixed. If we lose a lap, it's okay. We got the comp yellow.
So I love that coaching right there from the crew chief. We heard Dave Rogers calmly get on the radio and say, listen, guys, if we lose a lap, that's fine, because he knows the comp yellow is 5 or 10 laps away. So let's sit on pit road and fix it one time. He'll get the wave around as the field is rolling down the backstretch coming to green. Now, the issue for the 18, he's early on pit road, so watch. When he leaves right here, he still has the entirety of pit road to run. So it'll be very close. So the car still sounds a little sick to me, Rick. I'm not sure they fixed it.
Running a little rough there still. They had debris on the front, but obviously that wasn't an issue, what they were dealing with. So he'll come off of pit road, but will stay on the lead lap. The field behind him. Getting ready to come to the green.
Now restart on older tires. We'll see how this works out.
Yeah, Noah Gregson, he was running 5th, and he's lined up. He took that inside line, so he's moved up 1 row.
AJ Allmendinger on the inside of row 1. Allgaier on the outside. We get back to racing.
Myatt Snyder squeezes up into the upper lane in that red number 2.
So that lane choice that Noah Gretchen just took, he came out of there 3rd. That was a great decision to go to the bottom.
Allgaier, Allmendinger, Gregson. 1, 2, 3. Haley and Harrison Burton rounding out the top 5. Gregson trying that high line now as he's looking to take 2nd away from Allmendinger.
Great move by the 9, rolling that top 3 and 4 with a little bit of momentum.
Marty.
Hey guys, checking back in on Daniel Hemrick. He did say the engine is now fine. It was a plug wire that had come off, Steve. That was the issue, but now the engine is fine. They told him, hey, just limp around for now until we get that comp caution.
That's a great update, Marty. I didn't know if they were going to have to change a plug wire since it fell off. It either came off the spark plug or out of the distributor, but good news for the 18. And with knowing that the comp yellow is coming, they can just take it easy on their tires as we Denny Hamlin pop out of line right here.
Denny Hamlin jumped on the outside in 3 and 4, got by Harrison Burton, and then had good momentum down the front straightaway to get by Justin Haley. That experience paying off.
Steve, as hard as this racetrack is on tires, do you chance not changing tires at the competition caution?
I for sure would not change them, because I don't want a chance not having a set in that final stage. Remember, that's the one thing about stage racing. You would think the comp yellow would be automatic, come and take tires, but I only have 4 sets in my pits. So I know I need 1 at the end of stage 1, 1 at the end of stage 2. Well, that last stage is the longest. If you get a couple yellows as you're on board with Denny Hamlin, great move by AJ Allmendinger right here. You just can't not have a set of tires. I mean, if you're ever going to lose spots, make it stage 1. Don't make it with 10 to go in the race.
Hamlin started in 14th. He's up to 3rd already. Allgaier, Gregson, and Hamlin 1, 2, and 3. And what an amazing career Denny Hamlin has already had here in the Xfinity Series. 5 wins in the 13 starts. And you look at all of the field in comparison to Denny. He's got 5 wins, the rest of the field 2.
And this is an incredible opportunity for the younger drivers to learn from someone like Denny Hamlin, what he's doing, what his lines are like, how he's able to go through traffic. Easier said than done, right? And that was what I was always trying to do in my short time NASCAR. Get behind good guys, see, like, where are they making up this time?
And where are they making up time depending on their laps on their tires, right? He's going to put his car, you watch Denny Hamlin, he's going to move around all day. He's right on the bottom right now in 3 and 4. It won't be long. He's going to be on the wall. He's going to be all but against it. Here's the caution right here. Denny Hamlin is going to teach these guys, if they're willing to learn, like, take your time to pay attention to what he's doing.
He has taught us a lot. As a matter of fact, when we're riding along on the Toyota onboard, we saw Sam Mayer get into the wall in turn 2, watching from Denny Hamlin's onboard, and we have also seen cars getting sideways in front of him, just trying to stay in front of Denny Hamlin. So that Toyota onboard definitely valuable for us. As the competition caution has come out, and so now the drivers will decide. Will your crew chief have you come to pit road? Will you change tires? Depends on where you are. Well, NASCAR Drive, that's your live race day companion. You can follow your favorite drivers with high-definition in-car cameras. All you have to do is visit NASCAR.com/drive, or you can download the NASCAR mobile app today.
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, as I was mentioning, Rick, the strategy, if you're a driver that thinks he has a shot at winning the race, is to save those tires for later in the race. But We mentioned the playoff situation and the drivers in, the drivers out. Currently, Michael Annett is below the cut line and a big chunk of points. I don't know if he can make them up with points, but you know, the guess he has is he's currently running 11th. You gamble, take tires now, drive back up inside the top 10 to try to score points. That would be the only reason, in my opinion, you would try to take tires right here. We'll see what these leaders do. It's too unpredictable, that final stage.
And just a reminder, at the end of each stage, the top 10 each can earn points. And so drivers that are fighting for either the regular season championship or like Michael Annett, who's just trying to get into the playoffs, they need any points they can get. And so they would be trying to get those end of stage points. So far, no takers on pit road. We'll get ready for the restart from Darlington when we come back. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR. Visit GoCreditOne.com. Ford, built Ford proud. And by Sport Clips Haircuts, the pros in men's hair.
Ricky, you stole my car, and you took it for a ride, and then it was amazing to me listening when you were on the apron of the racetrack. What were you experiencing?
I mean, you just hear all the debris hitting the inside fender wheel wells, and you know, people don't realize that all the time. And that was, I never realized it too. When I was racing these cars, you get down there, it's like, man, there is a lot of dust, gravel, whatever it might be. So you got to imagine, you get that stuff on your tires, you don't clean these things off, scuffing them off like this. It makes a big difference going into one. Another thing that it took me a while to learn is I didn't think that it made a big difference cleaning those tires off, but it does. You certainly do not want to go down into turn one and have any kind of anything on your tires.
Well, you talked about how dirty and dusty it was. Let's go take a listen while you did that ride. So that is not something broken on the car. That is just the little rocks and sand that comes out of the asphalt and it just beating up against the car. And people ask, why is this racetrack so hard on tires? Well, that's part of the reason. The track is so abrasive, it just eats the rubber right off of it.
Almost like a cheese grater, right? Just, I mean, just peeling layers of those tires off off the tire.
Well, we saw Daniel Hemrick. He pitted. He came out about 32nd. So let's see. We talk about tires and how important they are. How far can he get? How far up can he get with these new tires? He's going to feel like Superman. His car is going to drive so much better than everybody he's around.
All right, 2x2 once again. Noah Gragson has chosen that inside line, and Allgaier will be on the outside. Again, didn't change tires, so tires they started with still on. We'll see how much grip they have, and those that did come to pit road, how much change it will be with the fresher tires. And we'll hand it off to our racers booth.
You see Noah Gragson, he's on the bottom of Allgaier trying to take this lead.
He got a good restart. Allgaier just was able to have that momentum around the outside like you're talking about, Jeff. It's amazing how much more speed you can carry.
Well, Noah made the pass for second a little bit ago on the top. Tried it again right there. Allgaier running the bottom. Typically the top works better as the tires get older. On restarts, you probably want to go the shortest way around the racetrack. We'll ride along with Denny Hamlin here. Pay attention to 3 and 4. Listen to the throttle. He goes back to the throttle and pretty much stays in it. Now, as we ride with him in turns 1 and 2, listen to how different it is.
Seemed like he got to the throttle a little bit earlier in 1 than he does in 3, between 3 and 4.
Now he's going to the top. Now Denny Hamlin. This is where Denny Hamlin's so good. He's going to put the right side right against the wall and then keep it there.
Look right there.
Noah sideways in front of him.
I mean, just one little slight slip and boom, you get that Darlington stripe. First time I came here, like, man, you're going to be riding right up along there. You get there, the noise gets louder, it's kind of intimidating. You're like holding your breath. At least I was. That's probably my problem, but I mean, you are right up on that wall.
So now Denny Hamlin, he's got a decision to make. He's going to go to the bottom. Noah went to the top. Can he go to the throttle and clear Noah? Noah's going to get a good run on corner exit. Now Denny Hamlin has no choice but to just fall in line. Now he's looking, what he's doing right now, he's really paying attention to what Noah's car is doing well and what it's not. Like, where can I take advantage of Noah Gragson? Where can I make this pass? What is the strength of my car? What's the weakness of his?
And that's what veterans do. You know, he knows exactly what he needs to do, where he needs to put the car. He knows aero-wise, aerodynamics, where his car is going to be able to make the pass, and that's something that time cannot replace, and that's experience.
Oh, here comes Daniel Hemrick with those new tires, Marty.
And here comes Daniel Hemrick, guys. That's what Goodyear tires mean here at Darlington. Restarted 32nd. He just made a pass for 12th and is threatening the top 10 here. So there's Goodyear tires, Jeff. He's going to be in the top 10 before they get back to the start-finish line.
Oh, yeah. This is a good move for these guys. Assuming, Steve, they don't get a lot of cautions to get every battle for the lead.
Looks like something's wrong with the 7 as he has slowed down, and now both the 9 and the 54 have gone by. Allgaier all the way back to 3rd.
Yeah, I think what's wrong with the 7 is the tires are eating off. That's how quickly things change here. The car's just not driving the way he wants it to.
No reported problems from Justin Allgaier in that black 7, except that this end of the racetrack is not as good against the competition as turns 1 and 2, and you saw the front 2 go by.
And look at what the 54 is doing now. Denny Hamlin behind the wheel to 54 for Joe Gibbs Racing, all over the back bumper of Gragson, trying to take the lead away. Gragson trying to hang on to it.
And you can see what Denny Hamlin is doing. Denny Hamlin's trying to pull the air off the back of that car in front of him. Get that car loose. Denny Hamlin knows the tricks. He knows that's what he needs to do. And these cars make way less grip than the Cup cars that he drives normally, and he knows that. So going into 1, he's going to drive this car in there and get that right front fender as close to the left rear quarter panel of Noah as he can. There you go, drive in there. Pull the air off of it.
struggle that Denny's having is right here. Noah Gragson, probably the best area of the racetrack is Exeter turn 2. So he gets a little gap, which he needs, because you get down here you go. I think Denny's better at this end, but he's better on the top. Now Noah goes up top. Denny's going to try to turn left, stay on that quarter panel on exit. Game over.
Spots his.
That is so well done.
Now listen, when I grew up racing here, you didn't contend that spot. Somebody got underneath you off of 4, you gave it to them and won. These guys, they just keep battling.
There was a battle in Noah Gragson, but it's Denny Hamlin up front as we go NASCAR nonstop. Wouldn't it be great right now to be able to listen into what's happening with Daniel Hemrick as he moves through the field? Well, you can go inside the headset with access to NASCAR Scanner for only $4.99 for the playoffs. Visit NASCAR.com/scanner to start your subscription today. You're watching the NASCAR Xfinity Series Sport Clips Haircuts VFW 200 from Darlington Raceway. And all right, drivers, what a move the 18 is making here. Daniel Hemrick's taking good advantage of the Goodyear tires.
Well, new tires, obviously. Daniel Hemrick flying up to the field. Noah Gragson, you saw he was sideways off of turn 2. But Daniel is right here. This Noah shows you how little grip there is. He's spinning the rear tires down the straightaway going straight.
Yeah, and you can see great camera work. The car actually bottoms out, and then probably as it returns and rebounds gets a little bit light. That's a handful.
Yeah, Noah Gragson has his hands full. Loves this racetrack, Marty. What's he saying?
Well, you see that car dancing around off turn 2 there a moment ago. Noah saying the rear brakes are locking up. It's worse here in 1 and 2. So Jeff, put me behind the wheel. Rear brakes locking up at Darlington. What would that do for you?
No, he could be wrecked. I don't know how he could be driving it. The rear brakes are locking up. I mean, that would be a catastrophic event. Maybe he's got too much rear brake in it. Maybe he's doing the driver exaggeration thing that they tend to do. But it'd be really hard to manage anything with them locking up.
He did say it's intermittent, Jeff, but it is locking up on occasion.
That is, Steve, I don't even know if that's the case. I wouldn't even know how you would fix such a thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure they're locking up. They're definitely grabbing more than he would hope. So we'll have to just see what to make for adjustments on the pit stop.
replay. 98, Monster Energy car, Tyler Herbst, look at getting really sideways, and that's that aero thing right there. 19 to Brandon Jones gets right up underneath the bumper. Maybe a little bit of help, but nevertheless, so hard to control the car and things are like that. Completely different than motorcycle race. I mean, to be able to almost wreck someone and not make any contact is impossible on two wheels. But this is one thing that amazed me in the car racing stuff in NASCAR is like, guys could loosen you up, wiggle you up without even touching you.
Yeah, that's just part of the art of race driving these cars. See Daniel Hemrick, one to go. Can he get there?
He might be able to get there, but can he get by? That's the other question. And by the way, I don't want it to go unsaid that Burton just referred to drivers as they. They get that way sometimes. Interesting.
If I'm the 54 of Denny Hamlin, I'm not sure if I want to win the stage. If Hemrick can get there, he's running for the Xfinity Series full time. I'd just go ahead and let him go. It doesn't look like Hamlin.
Oh, sideways! Hamlin sideways at the end of stage one. Hemrick goes by. Caution comes out. Hemrick's going to end winning stage one.
Get rolling here when you can. Just stay
Hamlin
bottom.
gets going. He's still end up in the top 5. That's how big of a gap he had in second.
How about that? Denny Hamlin, as good as he is here at Darlington, spins on his own coming out of 4.
Yeah.
What a move. Trying to get by the 74, gets loose sideways, and Hemrick drives right on by to win stage 1. Denny Hamlin gonna have his hands full in stage 2.
Darlington Raceway, too tough to tame. 7 car, Justin Allgaier had a good run early. Coming to the end of this, he drives into turn 3. Watch this car, he completely loses it. Haley underneath him, Burton on the outside of him. Oh, that's tight. Haley was having big trouble with 1 to go in that stage.
Well, we're going to go. This is right before the checker for the stage when the 74 just holds Denny down, doesn't even give way. Not sure if he was anticipating Denny to go around the outside of him, but he gets down on that apron, number 54 there. Watch this. Just no room, loses grip, loses side force, aerodynamics, goes sideways, and gives Hemrick the stage win. Not sure what the 74 was thinking right there, but I'd like to give him the benefit of the doubt and think that 54 was going to go around him, but we'll see.
I bet Denny Hamlin's not giving him the benefit of the doubt. I mean, he had him all 4 tires on the apron, Marty.
Noah Gragson finished second in the stage, Jeff. Those brake issues, Noah had a conversation with Dave Ellens, his crew chief, under the caution. Listen.
It's weird, man. Like, I'll touch the brake pedal and it'll just wheel hop, but it's delayed. I've never had this before. Is it every time? No, it's randomly. So I've been trying to apply less brake pressure, earlier lift.
So I asked Dave Ellens a moment ago, Steve, anything you can do on this pit stop? He simply said no, and the problem doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So Noah Gragson might have to deal with this for the rest of the race.
Well, I think some of the concern or why it's so confusing is 3 and 4 is the narrow end of the racetrack. It's where the brake pressure is applied the most. So 1 or 2, there really shouldn't be any brake. And if you are having some sort of problem, you would think it would be consistent. So I would basically pit this 9-car, change all 4 tires, and just see if there's any obvious problem, Rick.
Pit road is now open. It was closed earlier. There was actually a fire on pit road. Looked like maybe the 8 of Sam Mayer. Some issues down there on pit road, but now coming for service. Marty?
And thanks to the Denny Hamlin spin, 32nd to first for Daniel Hemrick. He gets the stage win and those 10 stage points and the #1 playoff point as well. That 1 playoff point very valuable. Hemrick said the car's way too free. Can't get back to the gas like he would like. Just too much rear slip. Further forward, Noah Gragson said aside from all the brake issues, his car way too free. That's the adjustment they're going to make for him to stop, Parker.
Right in the middle of your screen, AJ Allmendinger, you see that wrench going in the right rear, was really loose that entire run. He never even got near the wall, just did not have the right rear grip. Meanwhile, for his teammate at the bottom of the screen, Justin Haley, it was the opposite. Very tight in that 11 car, could not get to turn when he wanted. And you guys mentioned Samuel on the 8, he had a fire in the right front. As we see, Justin Haley gets off pit road first. He's out of the car and all right.
Impressive 3 spots gained by Justin Haley. Will line him back up for the restart, stage 2. Daniel Hamlin making his first stage win here at Darlington, and looking at Ruoff Mortgage Victory Lane. Maybe his first ever trip to Victory Lane in one of NASCAR's top 3 series. It could happen today. Obviously, winning stage 1, a good first step in that. But now it's Haley and Allmendinger who are going to lead the field back to the restart.
So Denny Hamlin, we showed him spin at the end of stage 1. Thought he was going to get a win. Got pushed down the racetrack, spun, then things got worse. He's leaving pit road. The car in front of him is going so slow, he tries to pass him on the left, and David Starr has no idea he's there, ends up making contact.
Well, before that, I thought that Denny Hamlin got crossed up on where his pit stall was. I'm like, wait, what's happening? He pulled in the wrong pit stall, then got a nice replay there, and David Starr was just going too slow, didn't want to get past him.
And you're not supposed to pass on the left on pit road. Let's check in from the Peacock pit box, and we've got KP and Brad down there. Guys?
Man, it's crazy. So we had somebody getting to the left rear. We got one that caught on fire. We got some bad brakes. That was on pit road. That wasn't even on the racetrack.
And listen, we've had Denny Hamlin pull out the textbook today, show us how to race the racetrack, how to pass people, set people up, how to spin and not hit anything, and how to wreck on pit road. So it has been absolutely crazy down here from this side.
And you see a little bit of damage on that right front, Steve.
I'm concerned where that damage is. It doesn't look like much, but you see it's right by the R in Goodyear. And, you know, the concern is with the wheel turned left, it should get better, right? The right front tire turns away from that kink. But we're just going to have to see. That's a really thin part of the sidewall right there. We'll have to see if there's any smoke. It looks like there's room, but we'll just have to keep an eye on it. Dave?
So Justin Allgaier went from leading this race to 5 to 7 seconds, and then that near spin in 3 and 4 behind the leaders. His right front with extremely high wear on that tire. Talked with Goodyear representatives, said that's just the look of a tire that has been worn away completely. That's why he was having so many handling troubles, guys.
So Rick, the whiter part, that's the fabric. The rubber's completely gone. Then you see those crazy looking stripes all the way around it. What happens is once it wears through, it actually picks up a piece of that fabric and unwind like a ball of yarn, basically. So that's why it looks like it does. I can assure you that tire, zero grip. Marty.
Hey, Steve, I checked in with Chris Gale real quick. That right front for Denny Hamlin after that pit road contact, they think is fine. It did clearance the right front. So we'll see on the restart altogether if it is indeed okay, but they decided not to make repairs to it.
It may not rub, but it's certainly going to hurt the performance of that car. That thing's moved in pretty far.
And getting ready for the start of stage 2 from Darlington. Haley and Allmendinger. 2 colleague cars making up row 1, and a big shove from Daniel Hamlin getting into turn number 1 in that 18. Side by side for the 3rd position. Hamlin down on the bottom of the racetrack. And a battle for the lead. A.J. Allmendinger goes by on the outside. Allmendinger leading at Darlington.
I don't think that's something he ever thought you'd call, Rick. He just didn't sound like a guy super confident to be here. Said he did learn some stuff the last time, but, you know, it's been a heck of a month for A.J., so why not take the lead here at Darlington as well. Parker.
Well, guys, we know how good a month it was in August for A.J. Allmendinger, but also Colleague Racing. Remember, back in the spring here, they did not have very fast cars. They actually went back to the drawing board and told me coming into this weekend, they changed 12 more things on each of those cars to try and be different than the last time they were here at Darlington. And right now, 2 cars there leading at the front. You got to think they're feeling pretty good about the speed so far.
Well, I had an opportunity to talk to A.J. Allmendinger earlier this morning. I asked him about this track. He says, man, this place hasn't historically been that good of a track for me in my Cup days. And quite frankly, he says, I'll be happy with the top 5. So he's in a good spot to do that right now. And you surely have to think with as much success as he has had here of recent that he's rolling on some serious momentum right now.
He's using the right rear up.
AJ out front, and here's what AJ had to say in the pre-race about this racetrack.
Kind of, it goes off really into turn 1, and then once I get to turn 2, I'm like, nope, still didn't figure what I'm supposed to do. Then I get to 3, I'm like, okay, no, still don't have that figured out. But I get off of 4 and I'm like, nope, didn't figure that one out either. So once I get those 4 corners figured out, I'm going to be pretty good here.
I'm glad he's not the only one that felt like that racing this racetrack. I can tell you that much. You are not alone, A.J. Allmendinger.
I'll give him some heads up. At least it's only here for him. It's like that every single racetrack I ever went to my whole life. So, you know.
Well, AJ is the king of low expectations, right? Like, hey, man, I'll tell him that I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm going to go out there and lead and win this thing.
It's definitely working right now for A.J. Allmendinger. Dave.
Running in 7th position is Austin Cindric, chasing Allmendinger now for that regular season championship and the 15 bonus points that come with it. When I talked to crew chief Brian Wilson about making up the gap that he needs to now, having led that decision all season long, he said, I've got 9 opportunities, 3 stages. Oh, and there's a spin, guys.
Contact between teammates, the 19 of Brandon Jones, the 18 of Hemrick, 2 Gibbs cars racing off turn 2. We talked about that patch, narrow, low grip. 2 Gibbs cars side by side with a 3rd Gibbs car right behind it, and there was a contact between the 18 and the 19, and the 19 definitely got the worse end.
There you go. You could see coming through the inside, Hemrick down there low. Let's see, does he make it? There you go. There's the, oh, you see, I talked about that transition. That's what I felt when I was in the NBC car this morning. You could feel the transition from the new patch to the old track, and the car probably just got a little bit light. I'm assuming loses grip, Jeff.
Yeah, just side by side through there, and just, you know, Brandon down a little bit, Hemrick up a little bit. You know, 2 teammates, clearly not on purpose, but that didn't make Brandon Jones feel any better. He's sitting there with a big-time wrecked race car.
Ricky,
and it doesn't, one thing I learned, it doesn't take much. I was always amazed at just little subtle change. Watch it bounce just a little bit, and that rear end gets light, and he tried to hold on to it, but little stuff like that always just use. I just couldn't believe just the slightest little error going that fast, and you're gone.
Yeah, Brandon Jones he just hasn't been able to have clean races. Had been in a lot of wrecks lately. Just it's hard to get momentum going into the playoffs. Had a really good run in Michigan, but just having momentum going into the playoffs is so important, and it's just hard to do it when you're always fixing your race car. Remember, he won this race last year. He was running well. He came from toward mid-pack, drove up to the field, contact with his teammate. You know he's upset.
Yeah, so Brandon Jones obviously going to work on the number 19. Let's listen into the radio of the 18 after that happens.
Come on, keep on coming down the racetrack, man. Christ. I can wear your back bumper out. Everything I can do. Get side by side with it. All you got to do is cut me a break. Obviously not what happened.
And Daniel Hemrick also went on to say, in that strip, I was not about to put my left sides outside of it. So that would have put us in a bad spot. So already that grip strip playing a big factor. Hemrick saying, if I would have gone with my left sides down there, it would have put us in a bad spot. I wasn't going to do it.
So Jeff, my question to you, they're coming through that patch and they're getting onto the old surface, and where that car gets light, and your expertise, do you stay on the throttle through there to load that rear end up to create more grip? Because on a motorcycle, that's what you would do. You see there's going to be a little transition there, so you want to keep the power to the ground so it kind of blows through there and soaks up that transition. What do you do in a situation like that?
Yeah, I think what Daniel Hemrick's got in his head right here is that there's a car right behind him, right? And he's trying to make an advance on the car in front of him, Brandon Jones, and he just don't want to lift. You know, it's like, I got this spot's mine, and I'm not going to lift, and I'm not going to turn left because I don't want to get on that old asphalt.
2 guys fighting for the same real estate, and one of them is getting work done on pit road. The FedEx Cup playoffs, final stop, Atlanta, Georgia, and the Tour Championship. The winner gets the PGA Tour's ultimate prize, plus $15 million. Final round coverage tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. Eastern on NBC.
Well, Ricky, you've done a lot of off-roading on a motorcycle, 2 wheels. We keep talking about this strip, and you noticed that transition when you were in the car today.
Well, I did. I could feel it, and I'm wondering if it's getting worse, but look at that. I mean, it just upsets these cars, and it talked about, and this is one thing I noticed when I was racing NASCAR for the short time. I mean, the speeds that these guys are going, it does not take much to upset these cars. You can see right there, and I just wonder if it's going to continue to get worse. We had some great camera work by our crew there showing how aggressive that transition is, and that's exactly what I felt. Didn't feel like it was as bad as what we're seeing right here during this race, and this track is already hard enough to get through. You heard A.J. Allmendinger talking about it, and now I believe they tried to make it better for the racers. You think they made it worse?
Well, I don't know they're trying to make it better. It's just the track was coming up. That's why they had to fix it. They didn't want to pave it. They just didn't have a choice. Parker.
Well, Jeff, just to add on to what you were talking about there, Ricky, A.J. Allmendinger came on the radio after those couple of laps under green as the leader and said, I'm getting a weird tire shake through that new pavement, and especially on that exit over that bump. And I think we've seen, as we saw in the slow-mo, the cars are getting upset. We've seen cars on older tires almost spin the rears when you go through that transition. So it's definitely added a very difficult scenario for that turn 2.
Well, we wonder about grip. The best way I know how to look at it's in speed. So if you go back to May, about almost 143 miles an hour down there, right? So that's the exit of 2. The area we're talking about versus today is about 3 miles an hour. So then what does that do? That sends you down the backstretch, and now you're slower. It's hard to see, but we're taking a spot right here, entering turn 3. That matters because the guys, I mean, look at them. They're over 4 miles an hour slower. So it seems like that patch either has less grip or it's the bump that the other 2 drivers are talking about in the other booth, Rick, that you kind of have to prepare for it. Ricky and I were having a conversation earlier. It's all about aero. What I can tell you, when the splitter pops off the ground a couple inches, not good for the aero platform.
And again, that was just 4 months ago when they were here before. So getting ready for the restart, Allmendinger and Haley. Gregson, Hemrick, Harrison Burton making up the top 5.
Bottom lane with a much better restart. Everybody on the outside did not get going.
Oh, there's going to be a big stack up at this 98. It's a 7 going to go 3 wide. He sticks in line.
'20. Harrison Burton just in front of that 98 of Riley Herbst. Again, the 20 of Harrison Burton, yet last year, won a couple times in the Xfinity Series. This year, still winless. How about the 2 of Mayan Snyder? Also has won. Got his first career win this year at Homestead earlier. So he's locked into the playoffs.
Great shot right here, riding along the South Point Camel, Riley Herbst.
It's one of my favorite views right here. This in-car really gives you a great perspective. How close they get to the wall right here. You can hear him listening to that throttle, working that throttle, getting as much grip as possible, trying to get onto the throttle, back to the throttle as quick as possible. This is what he needs to do right here, get in behind Denny Hamlin. Take some notes right here. Denny Hamlin been putting on a clinic today, coming from behind several times, and what a great opportunity to learn for a lot of these younger drivers.
Yeah, follow that red car. that's a good rule, Dave.
You don't know how important that is. Listen to this radio.
I have no idea what I'm doing out here. We're not far off, but just stay calm. That's how far. I just need to get to Richmond. That's right. Take care of it. Racetrack. Like, it's just the #1 rule. Has been for 50 years here.
That was the conversation they had. Riley not too sure what he's doing. Has some veterans to follow. Now he's following Tyler Reddick. That's not bad either, guys.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned Tyler Reddick much in that 23 car, but another driver that comes to mind, Jeff, when we talk about low grip racetracks, you see him running right up against the wall. Another driver we haven't mentioned up in the 7th position, the 31 of Austin Dillon. So those Cup drivers showing their, veteran wisdom when it comes to a worn-out racetrack.
Tyler Reddick, that 23 in the playoffs for the Cup Series. As we see the 54 Denny Hamlin all over the back bumper of Myatt Snyder. Marty?
Rick, so much experience in this field, like Denny Hamlin trying to get around Myatt Snyder here. That'll be for the 9th position. But I want to know from you, Ricky, how many times as a young motocross racer did you follow an experienced rider and say, I'm going to learn his line? You guys have talked a lot about it. All these inexperienced guys in the field, man, they can follow Denny Hamlin, they can follow Austin Dillon, they can learn a lot today.
Yeah, so many times, especially like in 1999, 2000, when I moved to the premier class in Supercross. I'd get behind guys, Jeremy McGrath, Jeff Emig, all those guys, and follow them in practice. Try to pick out little nuances that they're doing. Certain lines, corner entry, exit, different combinations through the track, and just try to pick up on it. I'd also learn how they set up their motorcycles, you know, a very neutral bike position, so it works well everywhere. So 100%, and there's no better way to learn. I talk about on the broadcast of Monster Energy Supercross is like these rookies, these younger riders get behind these veterans. There's no better way, no better learning lesson than that.
And a lesson just learned right there by A.J. Allmendinger is that Noah Gregson's got a pretty good car and was able to get by for the lead. So Gregson's out front now. Allmendinger back to second. And then right there is Austin Cindric fighting with Allmendinger for the regular season championship. Parker.
And guys, one of the things that can happen when you have a handling issue in one of these cars is you start to abuse one of those tires, whether it's the right front or the right rear. In A.J. Allmendinger's case, it is the right rear. And when you do that, it compounds and just continually gets worse at a place like this. He just lost the lead there. Obviously, he's fighting and fended off Cindric there for the stay in second, but really struggling with the right rear grip inside that 16 car right now. Really trying to baby as those cars are coming on him really quickly. You see Cindric right to his rear bumper in turn 1.
Jeff, coming off of 2, that patch, that transition, you see that bump as a driver. Do you want to have the least amount of wheel input in that area so it doesn't upset the car even more?
Yeah, I think what you want to be able to do is when you get to the center of 1 and 2, when you start to make that turn as you approach turn 2, you want that to be as straight as you can. So you're leaving straight. You're not leaving turning the wheel as much. If you could do that, that would be the preferred thing.
Noah Gragson out in front here at Darlington. And Noah, another one of those drivers looking for his first win of 2021. As we go NASCAR nonstop, you won't miss a thing. Predict the playoffs and start playing the NASCAR Playoffs Grid Challenge today. Make picks and earn points for the drivers you think will advance to each round. Visit NASCAR.com/playoffsgrid to create an entry and a chance to win $10,000 in cash. Yes, you're watching the NASCAR Xfinity Series Ford Clips Haircuts VFW 200.
Well, we've been on these tires for quite a while. Justin Allgaier got his left sides on that apron. Just almost got away from him.
Yeah, did he come up like the speed conversion seemed huge?
He was loose. When he got down there on the bottom, got the left sides on the apron, it just unloaded his car, and he was loose all the way through that corner.
Big difference between motorcycle racing and car racing. When you make a little wiggle like that in Supercross, you're able to regroup. You don't lose so much momentum. Boom, you can make up that time back really quick. It's going to take Justin several laps to get that momentum back. It's another thing that I had to learn. My time here is like I was so used to just recovering from mistakes so quickly, and I quickly realized that in this sport that wasn't going to happen.
Well, on top of that, I think Allgaier's a little worried about his tires. We saw that right front, right? That's on the back of his mind as well, Dave.
And guys, he is regrouping, as Ricky points out now, and he'll be fine in turns 1 and 2. He says that's a great end of the track for me, but in 3 and 4, super free in and off the corner and plowing through the center. So handling issues on one end, but a good car on the other.
Welcome to Darlington.
Right.
I mean, that's the problem here. It's hard to get two ends the same. I will say, Jeff, you and I agreed, though, if I had to have a car good anywhere, I'd actually choose 3 and 4. I think you could defend okay in 1 and 2. It's so narrow, so fast. But down at this end of the racetrack, which is where I think Denny Hamlin, who we're on board with right now with the Toyota Cam, is so good. If you're just not good down here, there's just not much you can do.
Yeah, that's right. This end of the racetrack, to me, this is where the race is won. You win it down here in 3 and 4. 1 and 2, it looks cool. It's really fast. You know, you drive in there, you immediately back on the throttle, get the thing right against the wall, just max out your grip. See that 20 car Harrison Burton really loose right there. Whoa! It won't get better with the 54 behind him.
Hamlin trying to take 5th away from Burton. Burton powering up on the wall, though, and staying in front of that 54.
I love that line that Harrison's running in 3 and 4 on old tires. I just feel like that's where you want to be able to run, Marty.
And Harrison, without his normal crew chief today, as Denny Hamlin still tries to stalk him for that 5th position. Jason Ratcliffe not here because of COVID protocol, but Dustin Zacharias filling in for him. They've worked together before, finished 4th on that day, solid day so far. I talked to Harrison, he said, I love this place. When I first came here, not so much. I had to learn how to be better here, and all of my dad's success. Jeff, he gave you a lot of credit, and in typical Burton fashion, they lose a little time on the front end, but on the end of the run, they're pretty strong, showing that right now, holding off his teammate, Denny Hamlin.
That's a fantastic job he's doing. It just shows you Harrison Burton, the strength that he is able to have. You can see the 54 might get by him, but the strength that he has, seemed like he was hitting his own line. He wasn't worried about what Denny was going to do, just worried, focused on hitting his marks, doing the best that he could do.
Yeah, now he has to adjust. Now he's behind him now. He had Denny behind him, and now his car is going to drive completely different. See right here, good move by Cindric on Allmendinger.
Trying to take that 2nd spot away. And again, these two fighting for the regular season championship. Very close as we see Allmendinger into the wall.
That's what I talked about earlier, guys. When I first started coming here, nobody went through there side by side. You didn't do it, and that's why, because it doesn't work.
Damn it, right side.
I mean, Allmendinger, 20 years ago, doesn't drive in there beside Cindric. You just were taught you can't do it.
4 laps to go in stage 2.
A little scrape on the right side. Looks fine. No, nothing clicked in.
Well, Daniel Hemrick right there in the 18 is thinking, thank goodness, that's 2 guys coming back to me quick.
Gregson, Allmendinger, Hemrick. 1, 2, 3, and now Denny Hamlin is up to 4th. Coming up on 3 laps to go.
That higher entrance, lower exit for the 54 is going to give him a good run. The 18 gets loose. 54 is going to follow his teammate down under turn 1 on the bottom. Nope, he's going to give the spot, but AJ once again side by side, Jeff.
Yeah, now they're side by side in this area we've talked about with the big bump. Oh, that's just an aggressive move by Allmendinger.
Powers by, and here comes the 54 Hamlin. Gets by Hemrick as well, and he's up to third.
And look at all these cars. Noah Gragson, he's driving off from him, but look at this mess. 3 wide at Darlington.
4 second, trying to get by Allmendinger now. Hamlin trying to take second away.
Allmendinger's proved he's going to contest this. He's done it to everyone else. Let's see if Denny has more success. He almost enters nice and easy, knowing it's going to happen.
Hamlin side by side for second.
And look who's in the back of this picture, the 7 of Alkire. Maybe he was back there saving a little bit of tire.
Oh, Denny's going to put the big slide on right here. Slide up on exit. No, he runs the bottom, holds his line pretty tighty.
And easily clears Allmendinger. Now here comes Cindric trying to get by Allmendinger. Last lap of stage 2.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Not sure where the 20's going down there on the apron.
3 wide through 1 and 2 at Darlington.
There comes,
oh! The 7 now makes it 4 wide.
That is crazy.
And it's going to be Noah Gragson as he exits turn 4. Gregson's going to hold on. He will win stage 2.
And look at this move by the 7 of Allgaier. He's got to get 3 spots in the last corner.
I can tell you what, this is why I love stage racing. These guys are absolutely going for it, man. You know, that was so much fun to watch, not knowing what's going to happen, watching these guys hanging on to it.
I'm saying don't go 2 wide into 1. They're going 3 wide.
So it was Hemrick, who's never won in NASCAR. He won stage 1. Noah Gragson, he hasn't won in 2021. He wins stage 2. What incredible racing we have seen at the end of stage 2 here for the Xfinity Series. Tomorrow it's the Cup Series turn. That's right, 6 o'clock, late afternoon, early evening race for the Cup Series, and it is the first race of the playoffs. Already we see haulers coming in, getting ready for tomorrow's race. Countdown to green will start us off at 5 o'clock. Make sure to join us here on NBCSN. So the field getting ready to come to pit road, and they'll be led by Noah Gragson. Marty.
Boy, Rick, Denny Hamlin has been so impressive today. Finishes second in that stage after the spin at the end of stage 1. Nice and clean in that stage, being very patient. He said, I need to roll 3 and 4 a little bit better. You helped that last time. I need a little bit more, just a little more turn through there. Meanwhile, for Noah Gregson, he does win that stage. Now collected 19 stage points today. Big gain for that team. He said no brake complaints during that stage, which was nice for him. Freed up as he went along, Dave.
12 stage points total now for Austin Cindric, and the crew member is going to try to put a piece of tape on the front of this dirty, oily grill on the 22. That's because the optimum operating temperature of the motor can be a little higher, plus he needs it as a tuning device to help turn the car coming off the corner.
Look at the race off pit road. Noah Gregson wins that race. Denny Hamlin stays right there in second. That could be spelling doom for the rest of the field. Allmendinger gained a couple spots there, 3 spots on pit road. All right, so we have made it through stage 1 and stage 2. I'll bring crew chief Steve Letarte in. Steve, what do you think about these first 2 stages in racing here at Darlington?
Well, the racing's been intense, more intense than I think we have seen here. I'm not sure what it is, whether it's the lack of practice, where it is in the season, or just the attitudes of the drivers, but spots are being contested in areas of the racetrack we don't normally see. But I'm really interested in this final stage, 54 laps, the longest of the 3 stages. All these drivers can make it on fuel, but they do have tires in the pits if the yellows come out. The question is, do you put them on, how long you've run? And now that Denny Hamlin has kept his track position through a pit cycle, I think we're finally going to get to see what this 54 has starting near the front.
It will be interesting to see what Denny Hamlin has for the field. Probably the best in the field. Speaking of the best, we have the GOAT with us. Ricky Carmichael, a part of our broadcast team today, and we're very thankful for that. A 7-time motocross, 5-time supercross champion, and did dabble a little bit with stock cars. He was in the Ark and Menards series, as well as the East Series, the Truck Series with Kevin Harvick Incorporated, also the Xfinity Series. He was actually the 2009 Truck Series most popular driver back when he was working on 4 wheels here in NASCAR. We bring in now Jeff Burton and Ricky Carmichael. All right, Ricky, you've seen 2 stages already here at Darlington. What have you thought?
Well, it's been a lot of action. I go back to Denny Hamlin, watching him come through the pack, then Hemrick having an issue. So a lot of drama here today, and I think the biggest thing is that patch and the transition going there. Some great camera work. You can just see the cars getting a little bit light coming off of the corner, and it's certainly put a twist on the races, as this track wasn't hard enough already, right?
Ricky, I think the drivers know you're here, because when they start a supercross race, it's like constant contact.
Right?
And I think these guys are like, they want some of that. And they don't, you know, you're not going to get by with it again. Like, you've gotten by with it maybe once, maybe twice. This is Darlington. And at some point, you're going to have to respect this racetrack. If not, it's going to bite you. These drivers don't seem to quite have that concept, but if they don't get it quick, it's going to, they're going to learn it the hard way.
All right, let's check in with Peacock Pit Box and Kyle and Brad.
Listen, we've listened to what the booth guys said, and they said you can't go 2 wide, and they're exactly right.
That's what they were saying.
You can go 3 and 4 wide.
All the way around this place.
It is crazy.
Never seen it.
The intensity level, it's almost like these guys are all in playoff mode.
Yeah.
It's like they've started their playoffs today, even though it's a couple of races.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as each lap, 5 segments, guys get more and more confident, and everyone wants a little bit of real estate. I've never seen it 3 wide and 2 corners at Darlington in my life. This is unbelievable. But you got Denny Hamlin starting up front. Let's see what the master can teach him.
Well, we're about to find out. All right, Steve. So now, as we get ready to start this final stage, I want to take a look at the Ruoff Mortgage Keys to Victory Lane.
Well,
give me what it's going to take.
Well, everybody said it in those own words, but really simply, right? Will there be a caution in this final stage? If there is, do you get tires? Everybody should have a couple sets, except for Hemrick, who's pitted an extra time. He has 1 set. And then really the question is Denny Hamlin. He's won here so many times. Today has been anything but smooth. Listen to this gravel right here. Welcome to the sandy area of South Carolina. Right, Denny Hamlin has done nothing to help himself. Right, he spun out early. He hit a car on pit road, but he finally has had a smooth pit cycle. We'll start, I assume, either front row or maybe second. We'll see on the choose, but is that what he needs, Jeff? Right, because I'll be honest, his lap times are amazing, Ricky, right? Like when he gets clean air, they're great, but it's been very methodical. But has anyone had to push yet, right? You don't know until you line up together.
Well, listen, this is Denny Hamlin. He is by far the favorite. Noah Gregson, though, He's really good at these racetracks. I think about Homestead. I think about here where you run right against the wall. You see they're choosing. Noah went to the bottom. These are places where he's really good, and he wants to beat Denny Hamlin. He wants to take the fight to Denny Hamlin at a place where we know Denny is so good.
I just think, you know, it's fun for me to watch Denny come through the pack because I can appreciate how he works that aero, you know, and the different lines that he takes. Because that was what I really struggled with. Racing and driving this track is one thing, but then when you get around other cars, it was always like a completely different racetrack.
The other thing, Ricky, is that Denny has an advantage, and it's hard to describe. When I drove Xfinity, when I went and ran these cars after being a Cup driver, you're racing out here for one thing and one thing only, and that's to win. And it's fun. There's no pressure. It's just go out and have a good time. All these young guys around him, they're racing for playoffs. They're racing for a championship. They're trying to make their own way in the world. And Denny's like, hey, man, here I am, you know, and it's going to go have a good time.
Right.
And he races with more relaxed, and it's a whole different feeling.
Dave, what are we hearing from the 98 team?
Yep, they're on the playoff bubble, remember, and restarting 29th. Damage to the right front fender prevented the tire changer from making a clean change. They came back down pit road to make sure all the lug nuts were tight.
So difficult situation there. Not so difficult for Noah Gragson. He has locked himself in based on points now into the playoffs. Still has not found victory lane yet this year. Can it be here? Stage 3 is underway.
You can see if Denny Hamlin can stay on the quarter panel. He can't. The 9 will be clean into turn 1, as well as the 16 of Allmendinger. Denny back to the outside. Actually, Allmendinger to the inside of the 9.
Gragson trying to hold off Allmendinger. Allmendinger trying to utilize the fresh tires. Going to the bottom of the racetrack. Allmendinger going to take the lead away again at Darlington. And now here comes the 54. Denny Hamlin behind the wheel, trying to get that car back to the Ruoff Mortgage victory lane.
So Burton, you're the guy here that's won all the races. You have the success. How hard do you push with 49 to go? Or are these drivers at this point trying to save any tire?
Yeah, listen, I pushed hard every lap. That's just, you know, my 100% was some others 90%. You know, I wasn't one of those real aggressive drivers, so I've had to push my car to the limit. That's how I had success here. Some other guys like an Allmendinger, a Noah who's having really loose right there, they might have to back theirs off just a little bit, Parker.
Hey, Jeff, and I think that's the question here as we watch A.J. Allmendinger get to this lead here. He came on the radio under that caution and said, look, I don't know how to treat these tires any better. We've got to get this car tightened up. The team told him they made some air pressure adjustments to help him. But when you look at that and you know his car has historically been very loose at the end of the runs, does it not make you worried seeing him get to an early lead like that, even drive away from that 54? Wouldn't you sort of be looking at thinking, hey, I don't want to drive too far out here. Maybe that's why I'm abusing that right rear.
Hard to believe an air pressure change would make that much of a difference, Jeff. But, I mean, it's just subtle little change. And
yeah, 3/10 of a pound, right? They're not making 2-pound air pressure adjustments, like 3/10, 4/10. Small adjustments, Steve.
So as we see Denny Hamlin in the field, Austin Dillon, Tyler Reddick, another driver that's here, and I'm confident he's here because of that patch in turn 2. Ryan Blaney, I mean, the man's on fire. Won a couple races, tons of momentum heading into the playoffs. And Jeff, I just have to believe, I don't see Ryan Blaney taking a trip down to Darlington in person unless there's a sponsor event. I think it's because of that patch in turn 2. I think he wants to be here, see it, listen to Cindric on the radio. That's a driver I like, his focus heading into the playoffs.
Yeah, I had a chance to sit down with him this week. A little feature we're doing, a little shoot. And he was really, his confidence is really high, but he did want to get here to see this racetrack and understand the changes.
yeah, but you got to think, I mean, it's a playoffs for them tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, and it's go time. And this is what these guys race for, to win championships. And I love to see that little extra credit homework that he is doing here. And maybe that might make the difference for him, being able to see, hear, listen what this track is like.
Yeah, we're talking about tire wear. See the 31 car, Austin Dillon on pit road.
He's going to lose at least a lap. Looks like it might even be 2 laps by the time he blends back in, unfortunately for the 31.
So right now, guys, oh, Hamlin on the outside. Allmendinger opened the door.
Hamlin up front at Darlington. Marty.
Well, what a power move by Denny Hamlin to go get the lead. And when I talked to him before the race, going through that new asphalt here at Darlington, he said there is no question in my mind this will be the most advantageous Xfinity Series race that I have driven in a long time. Think about what's on the line tomorrow for Denny Hamlin. He has not won in the Cup Series yet this year. This round in the Cup Series playoff shapes up very well for him, and he's at one of his best racetracks. Jeff, how much of an advantage do you think he has by getting these 147 laps on that grip strip, the new asphalt here at Darlington, learning that for tomorrow for the Southern 500?
Well, I think it matters. Anytime there's a change to the racetrack and you can get an understanding of that, not just from a driving style, Ricky, but now he can have a conversation with his crew chief. He can have a conversation with his team. Here's what it did. Here's what it was. And that helps them in the decisions they're making for the race car.
Yes, but especially if he's able to get the win here today, you have to think that that's going to translate into a great finish. Certainly, it would give me some confidence without a doubt. I knew if I won, I wanted to race the next day, and he's going to feel like he would have a little bit of advantage on his competition coming here tomorrow.
Jeff, you mentioned crew chiefs, team. What about his fellow drivers at Joe Gibbs? Wonder if old Denny Hamlin's going to talk to Kyle Busch overnight and let him know what he learned. You won't miss a thing as we go NASCAR nonstop.
Sixth caution has come out. You saw Riley Herbst jumping out of that car after it caught on fire once it was on pit road and headed for the garage. But Riley Herbst having to jump out quickly. Take a look at what happened to it.
Yeah, something happened. You cannot see anything. They slow down in front. Boom. Yeah.
I mean, it's nothing you can do there.
No, Tommy Joe Martins was having a mechanical issue, and you could see that Riley had no idea he was there. He saw the smoke coming out of the pipes of Tommy Joe's car, and he didn't know it. He had no idea the car was there. Just ride along and just listen.
I couldn't see anything, Bobo.
And that's when you realize how fast these speeds are. It was when guy in front of him pulls out, boom, there's 44. He just drives right up underneath him. Nothing he could do. That's the frustrating thing about car racing. When something like that happens, you're done. At least motorcycles, you can get up and get back going.
Wait a second. Hold on a minute. You just told me that you would rather have this accident on 2 wheels. You are crazy. I think I already knew that.
I didn't say I would want to have it. I just said that we'd get back up and keep going.
Crazy. You're right. Crazy.
He'd get back up. I'd wait for somebody to come get me. Well, there's no way I'm getting back up.
Wow.
You know, that's and Riley Herbst, we've talked about him. He's fought and clawed and finally got himself, you know, where he's relatively safe to make the playoffs. But this team, we talked about earlier, just trying to build momentum. And days like this just make it so hard. And remember, he had that problem, had to come down pit road. Loose lug nuts had to come down pit road. We got a report from Dave, told us that he's in the back of the pack. And because of that, here he is.
And now everyone, even after only 12 laps, come to pit road. It's Darlington. Tires matter. You got to have them, Marty.
You want those fresh Goodyears, Steve. No doubt about it. Denny Hamlin told Chris Gale, he said, you fixed 3 and 4. I was just cruising, saving stuff for the end of the race. Hamlin, very happy. Meanwhile, Noah Gragson said, if it's going to go green here to the end, I'm going to need a little bit of an adjustment here. Car just a little bit too free for Noah Gragson. He said, I think that third lane is going to be a factor here later in the race in 1 and 2, Dave.
4th place, Austin Cindric to pit road. He'll get 4 Goodyear tires and some Sunoco fuel. He says, my car needs to be just a little bit better under maximum compression in turns 1 and 2, partner.
That day for AJ Allmendinger, that loose condition showed up just 8 laps into that run. He lost the lead and said, there's nothing I could do. We've got to get this car tightened up. They need to get that right rear in the track as Denny Hamlin is going to win the race off pit road.
Hamlin grabbed that top spots off of pit road, and Gregson's going to be behind him now for the restart. It'll be Denny Hamlin who gets first choice when they come to the choose cone. And that box that is on the racetrack where they get that option of going either inside or outside. The whole field has that option.
So the pit reporters can kind of check me, take a little survey on pit road, but I believe by our math up here that all the leaders should still have 2 sets of tires left with the exception of the 18. Remember, let's go all the way back to the start of this race. You know, Daniel Hemrick had an issue, lost the track position with the engine. They fixed the engine, good for the team, but they threw some tires on halfway through stage 1, which was great. Drove all the way back, won stage 1, got that track position back, put them back into the show here. The downside is they have burned that set of tires, Marty, so the 18 may have some scuffs, but they should be done with stickers.
Yes, Steve, you are correct. Everyone should have 1 set of fresh Goodyear tires left, except for the 18, but they have glued up those tires, you can bet. So they'll have another set, but it will be scuffed tires and have some laps on them if they have to come back down pit road.
So the 18, if it goes green, no harm, no foul. Matter of fact, I would say the opposite. I would say bravo to Dave Rogers getting his driver back in the race. If the caution comes out and you get caught, I think, you know, Dave just has to say, listen, this is the risk we took. We try to get back into this race. So, you know, these are the things you have to do when you have an issue.
Sorry, Steve. They're safely in the playoffs, right? I mean, you know, they did win a stage. They got the stage win, gambled a little bit, and you get what they hope if a caution comes out, it comes out with only 4 or 5 laps to go, and not everybody will come on pit road. If you get a caution with 10 or 15 to go, they'd be in big trouble.
Yeah. You see, as you mentioned, safely in. 6 on the playoff list. The big thing for me, though, is like Hemrick, Gragson, and Burton. So the 3 are in, those 3 drivers, I mean, but just no wins. And I think if you really want to think you have a chance to advance in the playoffs, you have to battle and you have to win races. Let's listen into the 18 radio.
2 races ago, this is a lap. This is the last time everybody pitted. If we don't pit, we give up all the track position. Then we put tires on it, and you're on equal tires, right? You can't go nowhere. Then the race ends and you got to set lane.
So basically that's before the pit stop. They're saying, hey, if we stay out, save our last set of tires, we're going to start on old tires, we're doomed. They're all going to drive right by us. Then when the yellow comes out 20 laps later, yeah, we have a set like everybody else, but now we're last. Like, what are we going to do at that point? I think you're better off flipping it and doing it like they're doing it, because even the cold scuffs they may put on, you know, they're not going to be great, but they, you know, hopefully could stay inside the top 10 or 15. You see right there on the left-hand side, tire sets remaining. There's a whole list with 1. You see the 0 next to Hemrick and the 0 next to Alex LeBay back there in 20th. And we're showing the 66 currently. Timmy Hill is on the racetrack as the leader, but I assume he's going to come to pit road maybe with 1 to go. I can't imagine he would stay out here and risk it in front of all these new tires. It is a great way to get run over.
Yeah, if he does stay out, It will drive everybody to whichever lane he is not in. They will all be picking the opposite lane because not only will he not be able to go through 1 and 2, he won't be able to even launch well. He will not get a good restart. So the field is hoping that he pits this time.
Great racing that we have already seen here in the Xfinity Series. Remember, tomorrow it's the Cup Series first race of the playoffs. And fans, remember Motor Mouse on Monday and Wednesday. You guys get to be a part of the show. Here's a listen at a little bit of Motor Mouse from last week. Ryan Blaney wins. The big accident happens behind him.
Honestly, it's just so cool to win Daytona. You know, I grew up here watching my dad run for so many years.
Who are you guys' 4 unofficial drivers out heading into the round of 12?
Ooh. Now we got to run the race first, Mark. What are you talking about?
Can Tyler Reddick, can he put his emotions aside and go toe-to-toe with these guys?
I think Keselowski's out. I think the playbook over at Penske's closed for him.
There's 5 or 6 past champions. Do you think any of those guys will win the championship?
When these 16 guys line up at Darlington, that's not the same Kevin Harvick, no.
Kyle Larson's going to wax these boys behind these next 10 weeks.
And you love the opinions of all the pros. And hey, how about Ryan Blaney? Won last week and has the momentum entering the playoffs. Again, you could catch NASCAR America Motor Mouse. It's Monday and Wednesday, 6 to 7 Eastern on Peacock TV. Just sign up at peacocktv.com.
I love that show. You guys call in, fans make that show. We just talked about Timmy Hill. What was he going to do? Was he going to stay on the track or not? He decided to stay on the track. And look what happened. Daniel Hemrick drove all the way up to him. He was in 5th place coming off pit road. He went behind him, and all those guys on the bottom, first through 4th, went to the bottom lane thinking Timmy Hill will not be able to get a launch.
We talk about gambles. The 66 is trying to gamble, I'm guessing, and try to save some tires, steal a win at the end of this thing. I'm a little nervous. I don't love to gamble, and I'm a gambler, but just especially being stuck on the outside, I wish he would have took the bottom. There's so many hungry drivers behind him. This is going to be crazy.
Right. Steve's a gambler like you're a Hall of Famer. Okay.
Obviously, it's going to be a mess. Just make it through. We heard the spotter say there. All right, here we go for the restart. 32 laps to go from Darlington. A great restart for Denny, and they spread out behind Timmy Hill.
Something's the roof here, guys. Hold your line.
Nowhere to go, and he said something broke.
Came out of gear. Timmy Hill said it came out of gear.
Noah Gregson had trouble off of turn 2. Did not get off that corner well at all. Allmendinger drove right by him.
I don't know if the 66 is going to be able to keep going. He's not up to speed going down the backstretch. Will the caution come out, though?
Looks like he can accelerate, though. He kind of, I don't know if he got it back in gear or what happened. Costly for the 18. He got stuck right there behind the 66. There's the 66. Here comes the field at speed. I think the 66 is moving.
It's moving and out of the line, so the battle continues up front here. Hamlin and Allmendinger.
And it's heated. Allmendinger is putting the pressure on the 54 of Hamlin. He is not letting Denny run off and high.
Allmendinger's got short run speed. I think his car is the fastest on the short run, or Hamlin isn't showing it. Hamlin's saying, you know what, this thing could go the whole way. I'm going to take it easy. I don't need to hurt my tires.
And Hamlin said that during the pit stop. He said he was just riding, saving what he's got for the end of the race. And like a veteran of the sport, that's what you're going to do.
See Allgaier underneath Harrison Burton. Allgaier got a good run in 1 and 2 on the bottom.
Burton fights back on the outside, not wanting to give up that spot. Those two fighting for 4th.
Allgaier does a nice job on the inside lane, though, staying even with the 20. He'll finally have to concede right here, and that brings Cindric right to his rear bumper.
And what Harrison needs to do right here, there you go. He's got to run lower. Like Allmendinger, you're giving Allgaier the bottom of the racetrack. That makes your car looser. That time Harrison ran lower to try to block a little bit, Dave.
And the 7 of Allgaier now going to the bottom side. He chose the top line for that restart just to be further up in the queue, reasoning that they would they'd be further up. And so the point to him was, well, you've got to make this work. And as you see, battling Burton for 4th, he's hanging right in there.
So, Jeff, I like your idea about running lower, but I think Harrison runs too low through the middle, right? So he defends here, but then I think he needs to get up the racetrack and help this exit. The last 2 times, he's really given it up on corner exit, or his car's just not driving as good as he wants. That time was a little better, though.
Yeah, we see right here the replay. There's Allgaier. That's what you got to do. Get that right front to his left rear. Take the air off of it. Using all the racetrack.
Yeah, I mean, just right up there. All that racetrack, they are on top of each other, not wanting to give up that position.
Steve, we were watching Allgaier early in the race, and he was really fast in this part of the racetrack. This is his strength right here.
Look at that. Such a great shot to be able to stay that close through the faster corner of the racetrack, and now he's right there. You see Harrison, hands moving as he gets a shove by the 7 down into turn 3.
Up the racetrack, Harrison goes. Here comes the 7 once again. Allgaier trying to take the spot away from Burton for 4th, but he still can't get by him.
And patience being tested of the 7 right here. Harrison has every right to do what he's doing, but it is going to frustrate Allgaier, who feels he could go get the next position if he could just get by the 20.
Allgaier is one of the most aggressive drivers in this series. He's the veteran of these guys. He teaches these young guys how to race. He's very aggressive. He saw Harrison go to the bottom. He went to the top to see if he can get a big run off 4.
So while he's working to try to get by the 20 of Harrison Burton, we take a look at the Toyota driver update, and Burton is currently running in that 4th spot. Started 6th, so he's gained a couple spots. The farthest back he's been today was 21st, but Harrison Burton still a driver who has multiple wins already in his career, but no wins in 2021. I think it shocked a lot of us driving for Joe Gibbs Racing, and none of the regular drivers for Joe Gibbs Racing have been able to get to victory lane in the Xfinity Series this year.
Harrison right there went to the top of the racetrack. He saw Allgaier do that the lap before. This is the area right here, Ricky, where Harrison's trying to protect and Allgaier's trying to take advantage.
It almost looks like he diamonds the corner just a little bit and then tries to get a good run up off the corner. But the trajectory of his career, he's done a fantastic job, you know, doing really well in each division that he's done. And as a young athlete driver, that is super, super hard to do. So I respect the talent, and to be able to manage everything, not just the racing, but the off-the-track stuff is what I really struggled with early on in my career when I was taking off a little bit too fast, making the steps from one class to another.
Harrison Burton holding on to the 4th spot, but it's still Denny Hamlin up front as we go NASCAR nonstop. You won't miss a thing. Under 18 laps to go. The NASCAR Xfinity Series Sport Clips Haircuts VFW 200 from Darlington Raceway. And right now it's Denny Hamlin up front. Good battle here. It's continued. You've seen it all on NASCAR Nonstop between Harrison Burton in the 20 and the 7 of Justin Allgaier. Dave.
Guys, as he was battling Harrison Burton, he wanted to get the nose of that 7 right up underneath the Toyota. Here's what he said on the radio.
Still good room. He's getting ready to find out how loose is.
And you drivers know when you get that nose under there, you can really loosen up the car in front of you and make that pass.
That's the art. That's what you're supposed to do. Look how short the spoiler is on the trunks of these cars. These things are tiny. They don't make grip like a cup car do. These things are sideways. And one of the tools in your toolbox is to be able to take the air off that car in front of you. You know that. The guy in front of you knows that. It's just part of the game.
I mean, the discipline, the mental discipline to have right now, Harrison Burton is showing us. Allgaier all over him, just hounding him, working that inside, trying to make it happen, can't do it. That takes some serious discipline, and I am really amazed. I love seeing younger drivers have that kind of ability to be able to do that.
Marty.
Jeff, you talked about the art of this game. Tyler Green, the spotter for Harrison Burton, knows that as well. He said the only way the 7's going to get by you is packing air right there off of 1 and 2. You see that time, Justin Allgaier's the one who gets loose. He knows that Harrison Burton's car is so free. That's his one shot to do it. Tyler Green trying to prep the 20 for that situation.
Well, he's talking to the 20 to try to work on that battle. Another battle that's heating up right here is Denny Hamlin, Noah Gragson, the driver of the 9. Got into second, and now he's working his way, catching the 54. Now, I know that Hamlin is a pretty wily veteran. He's going to try to save some tire, but I don't believe he would let Noah get this close. As he works this lap traffic, the 9 is closing into under a second.
Steve, I got to ask you, watching this new patch and the transition, getting to the old part of the pavement, if you're getting ready for the playoffs tomorrow in the Cup Series, you going to adjust your car and setup based on what you've seen today?
Yeah, we see the cup haulers outside. They're parked in here, but there are some small tweaks you can make before you have to put them on the grid tomorrow. And I think if I'm a crew chief watching this here, watch this nose of this 54. When it comes through here, it just pops right up over that area. Maybe there's a thing you're going to do with the front shocks to try to make that transition more important. We talk so much about the grip of that area of the racetrack. Marty, it seems like the transition on and off the patch is the big issue.
Hey, Steve, I would argue Denny Hamlin's really only using what he needs to use. He mentioned that in the last run. And Ricky, you talked about that as well. That's that veteran savvy coming through, a master class in patience. Now, that's a weird word to use in racing, isn't it, Ricky? But patience, that's what Denny Hamlin's showing right now. I wonder, as a Supercross multi-time champion, how much patience played into your game.
Oh, 100%. There were many times where I wasn't the fastest guy, and I ended up winning just because I was the smartest guy. And this is what you're seeing right here. Denny Hamlin, he's only going to do what he needs to do. He doesn't need to win by 5-10 car lengths. He only needs to win by 1 car length. Hey, the points pay the same, the check cashes the same. So yeah, absolutely, especially the older you get. Who cares? As long as you win, who cares how far you win by?
Hey, Ricky, teach me something about motocross. Here we have spotters, radios, crew chiefs giving a gap. When you're a rider out there, is it just the signboard every time by, or are there areas of the track you can find second place, you know, with your own vision?
Yeah, you got the signboard, of course, but then you can always take a peek to your side, you know, move your head, look around, especially in 180 corners, get a little, check your peripheral vision.
So, Ricky, I want to know, like, we're talking about these guys on old tires, managing tires. What about motocross? Do you guys have to manage the race, or you just go full speed from the time you get rolling?
Yeah, you got to manage yourself strength-wise. You don't want to go out too hard because the races are long. They take a lot of cardiovascular strength. So finding that balance of where you won't blow up for the most part. And then, of course, the bike, those things, they'll last no problem. The races are so short, but the track, you're always adjusting to the track.
Oh, man,
and a caution around. Brandon Jones goes around, and the 7th caution has come out.
Oh, with all
tires. What do you think, Steve?
Yes, put them on if you have them.
9 to go, tires?
Absolutely.
Here's a question I've got, Steve. In the Xfinity Series, we have quite a few teams that don't have full budgets. How many of those guys will stay on the racetrack?
Yeah, I don't know.
How will that help Daniel Hemrick? Let's go back and see what happened. We know Brandon Jones he got in a wreck earlier. His car's not driving the way he wants it to drive, just gets away from him.
Yeah, he spun around there. That's going to bring the yellow out. Before that, we were showing Mike Lynette running 9th on the racetrack. I wanted to point that was a great run for Mike Lynette. Great to see him back in the car. After
missed 4 races.
Yeah. Absolutely, you take tires. There's the net right there doing a nice job. You take tires without a doubt here.
100%.
Let's listen into the 54 Denny Hamlin.
Caution, caution. 19. What are they doing?
Frustrated.
Denny thought he could just cruise all the way to the finish line, but no. They're coming to pit road. Now the crew has to go to work.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin was not happy that that caution came out. Going to be 4 fresh Goodyear tires. I think the car good enough, though. That was Chris Gale's reassurance to him. Listen, we still have the car to beat. Don't worry about it. Noah Gregson said his car was a little bit free, and when he finally got to see that 54 out of his windshield, felt like he was catching Denny Hamlin. And then also on pit road, the 7 of the Justin Allgaier in front of you, Dave.
He is indeed. He just needs the 4 tires. When asked if there were any adjustments he needed, he goes, no, I just need grip. They will slap a piece of tape on the front too. Help change the handling there a little bit on the 7.
Drag race for the lead off of pit road.
Oh, who's going to get it? Who dares to go 1 light faster?
And it looked like it was Hamlin that won that race. Very close and tight between Hamlin and Gregson. Harrison Burton 3rd off of pit road. That means a restart and very few laps. Stay with us.
Equipment over the wall.
Huge pit road penalty, Steve, for the 54.
Yeah, they're saying equipment over the wall too soon. I've yet to see a replay of exactly what happened. Regardless, though, that eliminates the 54 from really any chance to win this race with less than 10 laps to go, only 7 laps to go right here. He's going to be all the way in the back for this restart. Now you know why he was so frustrated to see that yellow came out.
Yeah, you just never know what's going to happen, Steve. When you're sitting there leading, you get a late race caution, things like this can happen. It's out of Denny Hamlin's control, right? And here he is with a shot to win the race, and now he's going to have to start in the back. So disappointing.
Denny, you need to pull over. We got to drop to the back. We had equipment over too quick. Tire. Pull over here and let them go by because we're coming to choose.
Now, one thing that I said earlier is that you have a major advantage as a Cup driver running Xfinity. If this happens tomorrow night, these emotions are going to be way different than they would be today. All right, Steve, let's see how they're going to line up here. So they're coming into the choose. We know we got a couple cars that stayed out on old tires.
Yeah, it's going to be a crazy restart here. The 18 of Hemrick is on old tires. Oh, and the old tires, I was wondering if they were going to both take the inside and the outside. They do, so old tires across the front row.
And if you're behind these guys, and listen, I'm not saying Landon Castle did anything wrong. I'm not saying that. But if you're behind them, you're like, why did you do that? Like, put both cars with old tires in the same line.
I mean, these guys are going to have to be super heads up, knowing what's happening and who's up front and on old tires. I mean,
yes.
Saw what happened when Timmy Hill was starting up front.
And that was just one. Now you got old tires side by side on the front row.
All right, so do you hang back in this situation to give yourself a little room?
Yes, you got to hang back a little bit because the cars in front aren't going to get rolling quickly.
So guys, it took us a little bit, but we found a great view of this penalty. We're on board with Denny Hamlin. So look right here. I want you to look up. See that right there? That's the left rear tire as we roll forward already in the pit box. You're allowed to You have the front tires over, you're allowed to do certain things, but that tire cannot be in the pit stall when the car shows up. That's basically having equipment over pit wall, so that's the penalty. And just a mental error. There's no reason to have that tire over pit wall that early, so team will have to digest it, figure out how the penalty happened. Regardless, though, Denny Hamlin out of a chance to win the race.
Coming up, it'll be 5 laps of racing remaining at Darlington. Remember, Daniel Hemrick, he's never won a race in NASCAR. Trying to get that first win today, but he's on older tires. He and Landon Castle making up row 1. Then it's Gregson and Harrison Burton behind him. 5 to go. They fan out 3 wide. Hemrick still in front. Here comes Gregson and Allmendinger. And right away, Gregson goes by. Gregson with the lead at Darlington. Annette, something wrong with the 1. Slow going down the backstretch. Hemrick trying to fight back. Here comes Allmendinger, a racetrack that he doesn't like. He said, I can't perform as well as at any other racetrack. But right now, he's running in the 2nd spot here at Darlington.
Told me earlier he was hoping for a top 5. This hasn't been the best track for him up.
Hemrick slides in the 18. We stay green.
Right here, still green, staying green.
Can he get it fired and rolling? He does.
Oh, something wrong with that car. I mean, Allmendinger, something wrong with Allmendinger.
The 16 throwing sparks out. He's down on the apron.
Got a right front issue, guys. His tire issue.
They were 3 wide in turn 1. Maybe damage on the right front, Parker?
He hasn't said, but he came on the radio. He missed pit lane there. He knew he had the issue. He wanted to get down, but he missed it. You know, it's so hard to get in pit lane there. You see the debris off of turn 2 right now.
Yeah, all kinds of debris, and that's going to bring the yellow out.
And now another restart. The 8th caution of the day. Noah Gregson's going to have to do it again, but this time on a little bit older tires.
Which is going to make just everything more difficult. Acceleration, getting the power down. That was craziness for a couple laps.
Some duct work there coming out.
Yeah, some sort of cooling hoses, probably for the front brakes. See right here, this is the 18. Just loses the back of the car. It goes for a huge slide. Great job by the 23 to miss it.
We've been talking about aerodynamics all day. He's on the bottom. Air getting taken off his car, and he's on old tires, so his pace into turn 1. This is where the damage happened. So here's the launch. They got together, Castle into the side of Noah, and now they're 3 wide. And this 3 wide behind, there's the 4 wide actually. They're banging into each other, slamming into each other, but that damage came on the 16 on the front straightaway.
Okay, drivers, Gregson and Cindric, 1 and 2, Harrison Burton, 3. What lane do you choose with just a 2-lap sprint here in overtime?
Well, you know, typically the outside lane here seems to launch better, but today that hasn't been the case. If I'm Noah, you know, I don't want to enter turn 1 with the 22 on the outside of me, but it seems like the launch has been good on the bottom all day. The top is the safer bet, because if you drive into turn 1 and 2, you can take the air off the car that's underneath you. We've seen off turn 2 all day long, the guy on the bottom hasn't been able to keep his car underneath him. So all that said, I think I'd have to take the top and work on getting the best start I could get.
Yeah, it certainly seems like you get down on the bottom and you're trapped. Right. You know, you can't go anywhere.
The question is, you know, what does Cindric do? Is Cindric saying, hey, look, I know what lane I want. No matter what, my best shot to win is to pick the lane I want. Even if Gregson picks that lane, does he start behind him or does he go underneath? That's the question. And I think Harrison in third, he just goes wherever Noah goes. Yeah. If Cindric picks the opposite.
Well, the pass for the win has come in the final 2 laps in each of the last 3 races here. So this isn't out of the ordinary to see what we're seeing here today.
Yeah, and everything we've talked all day long about, you know, not contesting, try not to go too wide. Forget everything we've said, because for these last 2 laps, I don't even care if it's on the racetrack. If it's paved, it's free game, and there could be cars everywhere. You look on the left at the rundown, there's some names in there, though. You see Reddick there in 6th as we see Allmendinger come to pit road. Ryan Sieg, we've yet to really mention his name. He's in 8th. Jeremy Clements in 9th. Alex LeBay in 10th. Annette back in 12th. We talked about him. Landon Castle, we saw him in the front row. Ty Dillon Hamlin back in 16th. So, you know, he's passed about 10 cars so far. We'll just have to see how lucky he can get. I think he's going to need more than one overtime. But that's not out of the, I was going to say, that's not out of the question, is it?
At this track, no, it's not out of the question. So they're working on the 16, and A.J. Allmendinger saying that this isn't one of his favorite tracks, but maybe next week will be one of his favorite tracks when he goes to Richmond Raceway. That's, again, the race before the end of the regular season for the Xfinity Series. That coverage on NBCSN beginning at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. That's the first of a doubleheader from Richmond on Saturday. And again, a reminder, there's 2 races to go before the playoffs begin. So it's Richmond and Bristol is where the Xfinity Series ends the regular season. Both easy tracks, right?
Yeah, both usually such calm racing. I mean, 3/4 mile short track at Richmond. And then Bristol, we've seen everything happen at Bristol.
That guy that normally is with us broadcasting, is he going to do something at Richmond?
Well, actually, I think that's where he is today. I think he's conditioning.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, he took today off so he could make sure he was in fighting shape for Richmond next week for the Xfinity Series race.
All right. Yeah, that's right. Dale Jr.
Pictures he
will be.
texted me didn't look like that.
Good point. Good point. Marty.
Looking at those points, Rick, look where Noah Gragson is. He would only have 3 playoff points if he does not win a race before the playoffs or a stage. So think about what's on the line for him. He would go into the playoffs minus 31 behind Austin Cindric. It's a 49 race winless streak for Noah Gragson. And he said before the race, he told me this is an opportunity race for us. Boy, the opportunity has opened wide up with Denny Hamlin in the back of the field. Noah could be looking at his first win in a while. And what a timely win, as you guys mentioned, playoffs coming up soon for the Xfinity Series.
These playoff points are so important. We've seen drivers miss the playoffs by 1 point. Right? You just don't make it by 1 point. We've seen ties. Everything you can do is so important. And I think, Steve, I think that what's important for this 9 team is not just how well they've run today, but how they've run the last 7 or 8 weeks. They've become very consistent, starting to see them finish races, getting what they deserve, and that's not what they were doing early in the year.
Well, we should remind everybody that man we were just showing, Dave Ellens, he is not inexperienced when it comes to the playoffs and the playoff run. He's won a championship with William Byron in this car. He won a championship with Tyler Reddick in this car, so he knows how to motivate young drivers. He knows how to pull them back when it's time. He knows how to kind of motivate them to run harder when it's time. I have to give him a lot of credit. You know, a lot of experience on top of the pit box, and I think it's really helps Noah through a year like this, Jeff, when things don't go smooth.
The other thing, Steve, that I've been really impressed with him, I saw him do with Noah, is he took him to 2 racetracks to test. Brought him here, and he brought him to took him to Homestead and said, you know what, go tear the right side of the car off. Go figure out how to run the top. And that has paid benefits for Noah Gragson. Coming to the choose cone, let's see where they all go.
And the choice is that inside line.
It's hard to see that choose cone from this view right here. I almost didn't see it. There you go.
Inside line for Gragson, and that means outside for Cindric. So those 2 will start side by side. How big is it, though, Steve, Jeff? I mean, winning at Darlington is on the line right now. A huge honor to be able to say you've won at this racetrack.
I call them resume races. You know, these young drivers are hoping to win tons and tons of races. And late in their career, Jeff, or after they retire, they can look back on certain ones. And this is the track they're going to look back on. I mean, this is a place that Hall of Famers, the biggest names in the sport, have gone to victory lane.
This is it, man. Darlington and Daytona, they're the 2 biggest racetracks we go to, period.
Same thing in Supercross racing. You ask a racer which race they want to win. It's Daytona Supercross or perhaps the season opener.
All right, so Noah Gragson right now, his focus has got to be on the launch. Remember, he's on old tires. The last time he restarted, he was on new tires. They're not going to accelerate the same way. You've got to be careful not to spin these rear tires. You need to enter turn 1 clear of the 22 of Austin Cindric so he can't take the air off the side of your car.
Top 12 all on the same tire as far as the length that they have been on them. So we'll see how that works. We are in overtime presented by Credit One Bank. 2 laps to go. A great launch for Noah Gragson in the 9.
He did exactly what he needed to do.
And how about Harrison Burton following right behind him? Up to second, ahead of Cindric.
Harrison got a big run off the turn 2 right there.
Down to the bottom of the racetrack, Burton fighting for the win. Gragson up high, keeps that momentum. One more time around.
Noah Gragson's going to run the hot line. That's what he's good at. That's where he's most comfortable.
Neither of these 2 drivers have won in 2021. One of them is looking to get to victory lane. Oh, big stride out of Noah. Here comes the 20 with a big run. To the bottom of the track. Does he try to slide? No, he can't get there. Gragson, Burton. It's going to be Noah Gragson out of 4. He'll win at Darlington.
Guys, thank you, thank you, thank you. Everyone involved, Johnny.
What a battle. Gragson, a great restart. Gets him out in front of the field, and he hangs on. And that's all that needed to be said. Darlington. Great week for Noah Gragson. Got a new contract, Junior Motorsports, and now first win of the season, and he wins at Darlington. Saw the remnants of the rear tires flying off. And what a crowd to see this race today. As Noah Gragson, who has said it's more about the journey than the finish, but he's going to be a showman when it comes to racing on the track, and he did just that now. Looks like they're going to pull a card out of Tony Stewart's notebook. We're going to climb the fence. Been a journey to get to this point, and now Noah Gragson, a winner in 2021, Dave.
And a few gifts from the fans there that he now distributes to his team, who is, most of them climbed the fence with him. A few of them feeling that it was smarter just to stay down on terra firma, which I don't disagree with. And now you get a look at those tires from the burnout there. Beautiful. And now posing for pictures. That's right. Unofficial team photographer right there for Noah Gragson. He's calling the team back over. And now waving to the fans. You know, I'm just going to follow here, see what happens next. Crew Chief Dave Ellens coming over for a little yeah. That's right. So, welcome to Victory Lane, my friend. It has been way too long.
It has been way too long, but first thing I want to say is thank you to all you badass race fans for coming out. Awesome, baby. Every single one of you guys, I appreciate all the support, not only for myself, but the entire Xfinity Series. And I hate that the 54, something happened to him on pit road, but it was pretty fun racing there. You know, we made good adjustments on the pit stops, and like you said, it's been way too long. A lot of frustration this year, and things haven't gone our way, but we're getting some momentum when we need to, and I just can't thank everybody enough on this number 9 team, and I love you, Johnny Morris, and everyone, JP Z-Man, Rusty at True Timber, everybody who makes this happen. Black Rifle Coffee, it's a dream come true.
And they're making it happen again for you next year. What do you need? Just a little relaxing now that you have the contract signed for next year?
Well, I knew I had to win today because it's my buddy John Gaughan's 21st birthday, and he lives out in Vegas. So I actually have a flight at like 8:30 to Vegas, but I don't think I'm making that.
No.
Then you guys got some good campers out in the outfield or infield. I might come see you guys. But unbelievable. Just so proud of this team, and I believed it the whole time. I knew we were capable of it, but this is Darlington. I can't believe it.
That's right, historic racetrack. A huge amount of fans today to welcome Noah Gragson back to Victory Lane, and he gets some momentum going before these playoffs start. And just a few weeks back in his hometown, Las Vegas.
Dave, you mentioned it. Noah will be heading to the Roth Mortgage Victory Lane here in just a moment. There's going to be plenty more interviews. Those are available on NBCSports.com, so make sure to tune in there for those interviews. Ricky Carmichael, we want to thank you so much for joining us in the broadcast here. Love the fact you brought that energy with us today.
Wow, thank you very much for having me, and what an incredible experience. I have so much respect for all these great drivers in the Xfinity Series and NASCAR Cup Series, and can't wait to watch the playoffs tomorrow.
That's what it'll be. The Cup Series will take to the track tomorrow. A lot watching what took place here today, as a lot of people wondering what's going to happen there in turn 2 with that new asphalt that was put down. Well, it didn't affect Noah Gragson. He was able to find Victory Lane for the first time in 2021. A huge win for him and momentum as he's getting closer to the playoffs. Congratulations, Noah Gragson, winner at Darlington.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.